Good evening, everybody. Check. It is. All right. Good evening. Noting the hour and the presence of a quorum and many dignified guests, I call the Acton-Boxborough Regional School Committee to order. Members of the public who wish to watch the meeting may do so online using ActonTV's YouTube channel, which is found on our agenda. This meeting is being recorded, so all the embarrassing things that your principals are going to say about you are going to be on ActonTV in perpetuity, and anyone is welcome to view them there. With that, I will hand over the beginning of our meeting to Peter or Andrew to recognize our retirees.
First, I just want to take an opportunity to say a huge thanks on behalf of the entire school district to all of you who are here tonight, as well as those colleagues who couldn't make it tonight. The idea of giving your career over in service of students and in service of families and the community is just such a noble cause and profession. And hopefully you saw this more as a cause than you did a profession. And I hope that as you leave us, you remember the deep impact that you've been able to have on all of the students, on all of the families that you've served, as well as each other and colleagues across the schools who you've had an opportunity to work with. We know this is a profession of blood, sweat, and tears, and there's no way to describe that, that people who haven't been in education can ever truly, know. But please know on behalf of all of our administrative team, leadership, school committee, and both communities really, just thank you for your service. Thank you, thank you. Thank you. We have principals here tonight who are going to recognize you and say a few words. Andrew, do you have anything that you wanted to say before we get started? All right, Andrew is our master of ceremonies for the evening. So I'm going to turn it over to him, but just really on behalf of all of us, thank you for your service, and we are so glad that you're with us tonight to be able to recognize you and say thanks.
Thank you, Peter. Again, just want to echo what Peter said in terms of, these are always bittersweet moments in the sense that so many of you have been such a significant part of our school district. We're both sad and excited for you, having reached this important milestone. And we want to make sure that we celebrate not only what you've done, but also what you have to look forward to. So with that, each of the principals have a little bit of something that they'd like to say just in terms of a recognition of your service to the district. We have a small sort of parting gift for you. Again, I don't think there's much in the way of material things that can really represent kind of what you've meant to us, but hopefully at the very least you'll find what we did choose to be something of use that you can use whether in your backyard or on the beach or on vacation, whatever it is that you're doing that is not involved being here where we're still doing the thing. And so we have we had 11, I know Kim Ward had to step out, so we thanked her separately. So if we have about 10 of you. I'm going to call the principal up, and then they'll ask you to come up, stand next to them. They'll read a little bit of something, and then we'd love to recognize you as a group. So we're going to start with the high school. The high school, Joni Dean, the principal, has, I believe, 4 individuals that they're going to celebrate. So Joni, why don't you come on up?
And while they're transitioning, I don't want to, break the suspense, but if you listened to Andrew's detail of, our thank you to you, it is not a paperweight this year for the first time ever. Not that you wouldn't take that to the beach with you, but it is not a paperweight.
Okay, all right. Okay. On behalf of the high school, I'm so proud to present something to our retirees. First up is Pat Garrison. Pat Garrison has been part of the district since 2000, serving as an academic support teacher at both R.J. Gray and the high school, and as a multilingual teacher at the high school. She's been a strong advocate for newcomers and all multilingual students. Pat's students from all over the world truly feel understood and valued in her classroom. You can also often find Pat at her students' after-school activities, cheering them on. Pat has been incredibly devoted as the coach for our Nordic ski program. Pat's colleagues know that she wears her heart on her sleeve. She's selfless, compassionate, and incredibly dedicated. We extend thanks to Pat for building such a robust multilingual program at the high school. And in retirement, she'll be traveling to visit her grandchildren and wants to learn to play the violin, continue skiing, and paint more. Congratulations, Pat.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'll probably drive you crazy.
Okay, Nancy, will you come up? All right, you ready?
Yes, sure.
Okay. Nancy Hall has been teaching for 35 years, and we were lucky that she chose to come to AB from Ashland, Massachusetts in 2001. One of her great successes has been teaching math in the high school MAP alternative program. Additionally, she strongly advocated for many years to create a non-AP calculus course. It finally came to fruition and has been wildly popular ever since. This course has allowed more of our students to learn calculus in high school. Nancy has a strong belief that all students can be successful, and she also works to find solutions to every problem. Nancy's colleagues adore her, and her positivity and enthusiasm for math and life permeate all she does. While she still loves the craft of teaching, Nancy is ready to travel and spend more time with her mom in retirement. We're going to miss you, and we wish you all the best, Nancy.
Thank you. You nailed it. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Jane, you're next. Okay, Jane first worked as a volunteer and then assistant secretary at the Gates School. In 1996, she moved to the high school as our registrar. She has helped nearly 12,000 students with their college application paperwork. And every year she processes over 4,000 applications. Jane's birthday is on Halloween. So with the November 1st college deadline, you can bet that Jane has worked nonstop all day on her birthday for the last 30 years. She's the first to volunteer to help at graduation, community service night, scholarship night, and faculty lunches. And everyone knows how much she supports the students and her colleagues at the high school. Jane is excited to spend more time with her 2 children and 5 grandchildren in retirement. Jane, we wish you the very best.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Sue. Since 2007, Sue has been an integral part of the AB High School Math Department and our entire school. She's expertly taught courses from Algebra 1 to AP Stats, embracing modern classroom techniques and earning Distinguished Educator status. She's been a member and coordinator of our 9th grade transition program. Sue has taught in summer school and our SWAP and MAP alternative programs. She has supported and advocated for our students through the A World of Difference program, being a culturally responsive teacher leader, and as the Youth and Philanthropy Club advisor. Colleagues in our building also know that Sue would do anything for them. Lastly, Sue's 3 children graduated from AB, and the entire community is going to miss her. She's planning to move to be with her mother in retirement, and we wish her the very best. Congratulations, Sue.
Thanks, Joni. Now we're going to have Jim Marcotte, principal of the junior high school, come next.
Good evening. Congratulations to all the retirees. I'm really happy for you. I'm jealous, but happy for you. I have a long way to go. Ms. Joanne Chadwick is standing next to me. She began working at the AB schools back in 2006 as a part-time nurse at the high school. She learned better and moved to the junior high 3 years later, and she's been with us ever since. In 2020, Joanne's role expanded to take on the shared role of nurse leader right before the onset of a worldwide pandemic. Joanne served as the district's COVID lead medical professional and helped us get ready to return to school in September 2020. And this is a role that she actually is very incredibly proud to have played. Joanne sees her impending retirement as bittersweet, as she will miss her friends at RJ Gray very much, as well as the nurses in the nursing department. In retirement, she plans to play lots of tennis and pickleball, spend time traveling home to England, into Europe, and beyond. We will miss Joanne's humor, fun stories, and precise and focused care for the health of our students and our staff. Congratulations, Joanne, on your retirement. Ms. Vaca. Ms. Jennifer Vaca has been an English teacher at RJ Gray since August 1993. Aside from teaching one section of English at the high school and teaching 1 year in the remote learning program, Ms. Vaca has been a permanent fixture in the hallways and classrooms of RJ Gray. Her work as an English teacher includes the development of many curriculum units that are still being taught today. In the 90s, Jennifer was one of the first 8th grade teachers to join a team, which at the time was only for 7th grade teams. Ms. Vaca served as the co-department leader for the English department for many years and worked with the district to determine how to implement the new teacher evaluation system. Ms. Vaca is most proud of her work as a good colleague and teammate, always supportive of her peers' endeavors. The staff and students of RJ Gray thank Jennifer for her many years of service, and we wish her the best in retirement. And next up is Carol Watson. Hello. Mrs. Carol Watson is retiring from RJ Gray. You want to read along with me? Where she has taught French and Spanish to students in both grades since 2010. Carol's time at RJ Gray has been spent getting students to learn and love languages. She's used music, games, cooking demonstrations, and physical activities to make students become avid speakers and communicators in French and Spanish. Carol served as the Spanish club advisor for many years, coached alpine skiing at AB for 4 years with at least one state champion each year. She made me include that. Carol is excited to invite you to the house that she's renovating on the North Shore, near her daughter and the beach, where she hopes to start a world language tutoring business focusing on senior learners. Carol's department colleagues are going to miss her positive energy, her passion for teaching world languages, and her friendship. We wish you all the best in your retirement, Carol.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Andrea.
Next, we'll ask Christina Gavin to come up for Miriam School.
Hi, everybody. Michelle Pruitt was an advertising art director and designer in Boston for 20 years before becoming an educator. And when she had her children and they were young, she was subbing at McCarthy Town. She found that she loved working with children, and then she decided to get her master's at Leslie, and she joined Miriam Elementary School in 2008 as a 3rd and 4th grade looping teacher. Michelle has also taught 1st grade, 2nd grade, as well as 4th grade during the COVID years remote. In her years at Miriam, Michelle has shared her artistic gifts and talents with the students and the staff, and over the years, she has helped with many events at the school. If you ask the Miriam teachers what they will remember most about Michelle, one of the first things they'll tell you is all of the beautiful bulletin boards and artistic displays that you've shared with the school over the years. And all along her career, she's enjoyed integrating her art into her work as an educator. In retirement, Michelle is looking forward to traveling Italy with her husband and working in her community garden plot, and she will also have more time to draw and to paint and volunteer. Michelle, I speak on behalf of Miriam when I say that the students and staff, we're going to miss you. You've left an impression on us. Your creativity inspires us, and we wish you the best in retirement.
Thank you.
We have two more staff members to celebrate from Gates. Allison Warren, the principal of Gates, could not stay for this portion, and she certainly spoke to Louise and Diane separately. So I'm going to be in her stead. And so first I'm going to ask Louise to come up so I can share some of the words that Allison prepared. Louise has been a dedicated member of the Gates Elementary community for the past 23 years. She joined our school in 2001 as part of the office support staff. In the summer of 2015, she took on the role of main office administrator, which she has held ever since. Throughout her time at Gates, Louise has been a friendly and welcoming presence. Her positive attitude and warm personality made the office a pleasant place for staff and visitors alike. She has been a steady figure at our school and has witnessed much of its history firsthand. With Louise's upcoming retirement, Gates Elementary will be losing a long-standing employee who has been an integral part of our community. We appreciate all of her hard work and dedication over the years. As she prepares for this next chapter, we wish Louise all the best in her retirement. We hope she thoroughly enjoys the warmer weather and relaxation that awaits her in Florida. Congratulations, Louise. You ready, Diane? All right, Diane Spring, come on up. This is certainly a pleasure for me as well, along with Diane's role at the Gates School as their nurse. Diane also shares the nurse leader role, and so we work closely together. So this has been a conversation we've had for quite some time. I'm so glad that you plan on coming back next year and subbing in almost every day. I appreciate that. If I say it, it becomes true. All right. Diane Spring. Diane was hired as the Gates school nurse in 2007 and has been with Gates ever since. Within her first year, she very quickly became a beloved member of the community. She stepped into her leadership role in 2011 and quickly became valued across the entire district as well. Diane has a special way of connecting with any person who has had the pleasure of getting to know her. It is not uncommon for staff to seek Diane out for support and advice on all things in life, along with her medical advice. I do believe for most staff at Gates, she was our honorary pediatrician for our own children. Her kindness, friendship, and leadership will be missed by everyone at the district, and especially at Gates. Please join me in honoring Diane. We're going to miss you. Thank you, everyone. As Peter said, not every retiree was able to make it today. You know, it's June, so there's all sorts of other commitments. We do have a number of retirees who hopefully will be celebrating either at school-based events or at department-based or just simply with those who work with them. But sort of in their absence, if we could just offer them a round of applause and thank them as well.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, everybody. I would say one more round of applause for all of our retirees. Thank you all so much. All right. And with that, we're all going to vacate this room because tonight we have need to meet in executive session to be convened under MGL Chapter 30A, Section 21A, Purpose 2, to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel or to conduct collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-union personnel, the superintendent. Is there a motion to move to executive session?
Second.
It can be Ben and Vikram. And we have to do a roll call vote for this, so we're going to go around this way. Tori?
Yes.
Lakshmi? Andrew? Liz?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Becca?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. That is unanimous. We should return approximately 7:05 p.m. Thank you.
I feel like if I object to it.
Amy Biz is already
Does it
on.
look
So.
like
Andrew, Amy Biz is on it.
Amy's on it?
Yep. You're welcome.
All three of them.
I should be fine. Yeah.
School committee's in their private meeting right now.
Okay. All right. No worries. Here's the actual real show.
I think you really want to touch it.
I'm afraid so loud.
I know.
was like, oh, are you telling me you can't say that? You sure never tried? You tried. You tried.
All right, good evening, everybody. Again, thank you for waiting while we were meeting in executive session. Again, members of the public who wish to watch our meeting can do so on ActonTV's YouTube channel. And as a reminder for our new guests, this meeting is being recorded and will be posted on ActonTV's website at actontv.org. If the members don't mind, what I'd like to do is take the ABSAF donation, which is item 3D in our agenda, out of order and start our meeting with that. Yes, please.
Great. Hi, everybody. I'm Trish Hashem. I'm the current president of the Acton-Boxborough Student Activity Fund. And I've got our amazing board members, our students here. They're going to tell you a little bit about ABSAF, and then we're going to present you with a check. And I think you're going to be pretty proud. Thanks.
Hello, my name's Klein Lee, and I'm a sophomore, and I have been a board member for the past 2 years. ABSAF is a student and parent organization that fundraises for extracurriculars such as theater clubs and sports for the RJ Gray in high school.
Hi, my name is Luke Hashem. This is my first year on the board. ABSAF gives students the opportunity to raise money and give back to their community. And in that spirit, I'd like to present a check of $42,000 to the district.
Thank you very much. It's always my favorite time of the year when the big check comes out. It's the best part.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes, please.
I just, on behalf of the district, I just want to thank ABSAF. Your organization just does an incredible amount of work throughout the year in order to be able to fund programs that our schools just otherwise couldn't fully fund. And so thank you so much for the work you do. It is tremendously appreciated and always goes to a good purpose. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving back into order, we have our student representative updates. Oh, we have to vote to accept. So is there a motion to approve this generous gift?
So moved.
That would be Tori, and then Andrew seconded. Thanks, Beth. I'm so glad you're here this evening. All those in favor of accepting this generous gift? Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? Great. That is unanimous with gratitude. Now on to our high school reps. Come on up.
Okay, I'm gonna have to stay on my toes for this. Hi. Oh. Okay, is it on? Okay. Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Diksha Mhatre. I'm a sophomore, and I have a few things that I want to talk to you about today. First being Happy Pride Month, everybody. Shout out to all the LGBTQ plus members in our community. Also, we had MCAS, Bio MCAS this week, and so that all went well. Another thing that I want to mention is that elections happened over the course of 2 days. It was today and yesterday. We had sophomore, freshman, and junior elections, and so we haven't found out the results yet, but hopefully I'll be seeing you all next year. Thank you.
Thanks, Diksha.
Hi, I'm Julia. I'm a sophomore at AB as well. Like Diksha said, we had elections yesterday, and that combined with what kind of I'd already been seeing, I'd like to address a small-ish, large-ish problem in the high school, which is that a lot of the girls' bathrooms have no locks or a faulty lock on the door. That there's a lot of doors that are very hard to close and lock, making it difficult to come in and out in a rapid manner for classes and for other students. B, there's doors that have no lock at all, and those are being held shut by rubber bands and bobby pins currently. Either that or by having another friend stand outside the door and stand guard during the middle of our AP tests. So this is obviously not quite the best solution. And we just like to try and get that addressed as soon as possible. Thanks.
Thank you. Hi, Molly.
Hello. I'm sure you're going to talk about this later in the meeting, but I just wanted to be a student to say it. I just want to recognize the life of Chris, who died about a week ago. And I just wanted to say that she was a very valued member of our community. She was in a lot of clubs. I know friends who were in clubs with her. She always brought life to the room. She was always just such a great person to be around. And I just want to recognize that she was a wonderful person. And I think it's very important that we just talk about her. And yeah.
Thank you. Okay, we are on to public participation. Per our school committee policy, BEDH, members of the public are invited to speak for up to 3 minutes. Public participation only takes place during this time. Speakers must be recognized by the chair before speaking, and as a reminder, the committee does not typically respond to comments during public participation. Anybody here wish to make some public comments? Gary, is this your last meeting as? Okay. Please.
Okay, yeah, so this is my last time. My public plea to change your policy for next year to allow the folks to ask questions during sessions, not just at the beginning. I hope you think about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. And thanks, Gary, for your service to the Boxborough Finance Committee.
Hi, I'm Alex Hua. I'm a junior at the high school, and I'm here on behalf of Resource Force. Almost a year ago, we sent a resolution on decarbonization to the school district, and since then, many of us have diligently attended these meetings and spoken up at public participation. While we would like to acknowledge the work that the school district has already done, such as building the new net zero elementary school, the purpose of our resolution is to commit the school district to actionable steps towards decarbonization. The state of Massachusetts has a climate action plan. The town of Acton has a climate action plan, and it's about time the school district had one as well. The schools are a central part of the community, and it's imperative that we set an example. While the state's Climate Leader program is a very good first step, it would be unwise to solely fulfill its minimum requirements, and we must go beyond those requirements. Thank you.
Thanks, Alex.
Hello, I'm Austin. I'm another junior, and I'm also a part of Resource Force. But first, we would like to show the importance of even taking this first step. Through the Climate Leaders program, the school committee would be required to use the decarbonization roadmap to set climate goals and take real steps forward. Thankfully, studies like the electrification roadmap would allow the school committee to take more informed decisions on decarbonization. Moreover, this program is essential for any further climate action, as it would alleviate the initial financial burden through additional grant funding. But as stated earlier, this is just a first step, and my colleagues will illustrate where this program fails. So we ask that you do not be complacent where further action is needed.
Thanks, Austin.
Hi, my name is Kyron Vig. I'm also a junior at the high school, and I'm here on behalf of Resource Force. We recognize the intentions of the Zero Emission Vehicle First policy and the Climate Leader program. However, by exempting our leased school buses, the policy does not resolve a large part of the school's carbon emissions. We must also commit to acquiring electric school buses to reduce our carbon footprint. Along with being more energy efficient and benefiting our environment, electric school buses also produce no emission, leading to cleaner air and positive health benefits for both students, staff, and the rest of our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Jeffrey G. I'm also a junior, and I'm here on behalf of Resource Force. Another part of our resolution that is missing from the Climate Leader program is an annual progress report, which we believe to be one of the most important parts of our resolution. As the environmentalist Bill McKibben once said about climate change, winning slowly is the same as losing. So to prevent a scenario where we're winning too slowly and ultimately losing the fight against climate change, we need to public accountability, and the district must commit to updating the public regularly about the progress it's making.
Thanks, Jeffrey.
Hello, my name is Tanish, and I'm also a junior at the high school. I'm also here on behalf of Resource Force. So the last 12 months have been the hottest on record, with temperatures increasing across the world. The UN Secretary General recently said that the world needs an exit ramp off the highway to climate hell. And climate change is affecting everything from the world economy to coastal communities. And if this continues, what world are we leaving to future generations? That's why we need to make an impact now. Thank you.
Thanks, Dinesh.
Hi, my name is Sneha Iyer. I'm also a junior at the high school, and I'm also a part of Resource Force. I have family in India, and I know that many people here have family in other regions of the world. In the past month, temperatures in India reached a record high of 120 degrees Fahrenheit. And in the US, nearly 200 tornadoes ripped through the Mideast. We are all affected by climate change. If we don't take responsibility for change now, we won't have a world to live in. And the climate action plan, the resolution helps us make an impact now. As a community and as a district, if we don't take these steps, we won't be able to have any change. The Climate Leader Program is a first step. Our resolution is a step beyond that. Your work matters. Thank you.
Thanks, Sinha.
Hi, my name is Fran Cummings, 33 Martin Street. I'm here with Acton Mothers Out Front, and we'll each introduce ourselves as we come up. We're here to support the resource force and encourage faster action on electric school buses. But first, we'd like to start by thanking you for the work that you and others have done to obtain grants for electric school buses and develop the 2 policies that are on the agenda later, which I've just read and very pleased to see. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Carol Enright, 44 Brewster Lane. Also, as part of Mothers Out Front coordinating team, we express our wholehearted support for the Resource Force resolution on carbon emissions and the climate. We also want to urge immediate action on one of the bullet points of their plan, switching from fossil fuel to electricity-powered school buses. That's just one of the many protective health benefits of just one of the many protective health benefits for our student riders and the bus drivers of Acton-Boxborough School District would be to reduce asthma, incidence, and severity of asthma. One of the climate benefits would be to help slow the rate of severe storms by slashing atmospheric CO2 vehicle emissions. There are many other health and climate benefits which fall in line with the Resource Force resolutions. Thank you for listening.
Thanks, Carol.
Dina Ferrara, 10 Wachusett Drive. With transportation-related carbon emissions accounting for the highest percentage of fossil fuel pollution in the United States, switching to electric school buses in every single town and city can make a significant difference in slowing the environmental degradation. As we hear every day in the news, weather is more often in the headlines now, as are calls for urgent emergency response to the climate crisis. Electric school buses are an impactful part of that response. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Any other members of the public wish to speak? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to our next agenda item, which is the superintendent's update. Peter.
All right, thank you, Adam. So, I want to just start by acknowledging that, our school community suffered a tremendous loss last week with the death of one of our students. Chris's death, I think, impacted many within the school community in some really deep and profound ways. And, certainly on behalf of all of the staff in the district, our hearts really go out to Chris's family, friends, staff members who have been impacted, as well as others in the community who may be impacted by this. I, at the same time, just want to thank the administrators in our schools and our counseling and psychologists in all of our schools, as well as, some of the special educators, related service providers, things like that, and the classroom teachers who have been working with students. They have gone above and beyond the call of duty at every step of the way over the last week to try to support students, to try to support staff, to support each other, and just make sure that we were able to quickly identify students who might be most impacted by the loss and make sure that we had supports in place for those students right away, and we were making contact, we were taking care of kids, we were taking care of staff. So I can't thank all of the staff enough who were involved in that at the district level, but you know, this is really hard on schools that get impacted. Not only, you know, schools that might have lost a student, but schools that might have siblings, you know, things like that. This is a hard process for everyone to go through. So, you know, thank you to staff. And again, I would just say, you know, our hearts go out to the family of Chris, because this is, I can't imagine the challenge. You know, I think one of the things that is hard, I'm going to transition now, and you know, to something that's a little bit more celebratory, and it's like one of those moments, and Joni Dean said this to our high school the other day as they were starting to, you know, congratulate the seniors on their last day of school, but we sometimes have to hold that there can be very sad moments in life and joyous moments in life, and kind of hold those two things at the same time. So I do want to say a huge congratulations to the class of 2024. They graduate tomorrow night. We will find out if that's on Leary Field, probably sometime tomorrow. We're watching the weather. We don't have thunder in the forecast, as far as I know, so that's a good step in the right direction. But really just wish them the best. I also want to recognize that we had 40 students earn the Seal of Biliteracy this year, which is absolutely fantastic. If you don't know what the Seal of Biliteracy is, it's for 12th graders who demonstrate proficiency in English and any other language. So we're thrilled to have students who are that proficient in multiple languages, and congratulations to that group of kids. Leadership updates continue. You know, over the last couple of days, Dana Lab emailed the Blanchard community that he has accepted a job as the Assistant Superintendent of Schools for the Harvard Public Schools. This is a tremendous opportunity for Dana. You all know Dana. He is an absolutely incredible educator, incredible leader, and an incredible person. I couldn't be happier for him to have accepted that position. Certainly will support him on a continuing basis and wish him the best in that. I did have an opportunity to meet with Blanchard staff yesterday. At this point in the school year, we're well outside the window where we would be able to hire a permanent principal at this point, so we are likely looking at an interim principal. I met with the Blanchard staff yesterday, you know, right after school, in order to kind of hear from them first about next steps, and I'm hopeful to be able to have an update for the Blanchard community probably first half of next week, to be able to kind of give them some ideas about next steps. I am pleased, you know, on with Resource Force still here, thank you for staying. I am pleased to be able to announce that the district was awarded a $200,000 grant from the EPA for an electric school bus. Just to put that in perspective, that will cover a little less than half the cost of that one bus. So we are actively pursuing other grants. I know Kate Crosby's here, and she's going to be able to speak to you as well a little bit later, but I just want to thank Kate for her leadership on that, you know, applying on a consistent basis. You know, I think the all-in cost of the actual bus itself is about $375,000 per bus, and then we usually have to spend about another $25,000 to equip it with cameras and all the GPS equipment that we have to put in, and then the charging station for one bus is about $50,000, and we're actively exploring that now so that we have things in place. We are hopeful that we can secure additional funding from Mass CEC to be able to let us proceed and take advantage of that EPA grant. So a good first step in the right direction. Number of celebrations. We already heard it is Pride Month, so I just want to recognize all of our students who identify as LGBTQ+, and we will be sending out information on some of the different things happening. We have Flag Day happening this month, and want to make sure that we recognize Flag Day. Father's Day, want to just, you know, those of you who are fathers, congratulations. And then on June 17th, we actually have that day off of school. That is Eid al-Adha, which is also known as the Festival of Sacrifice, which is one of the most significant Islamic holidays. So want to recognize that because it's a day off on our calendar this year, and make sure that families know why that's a day off. And then we also have Juneteenth off. It is after the school year gets out. Thankfully, we did not have snow days, but we recognize that's coming up, and there are some different activities happening around Acton to recognize Juneteenth. So we'll be sending that information out. And then just a real quick rundown of some nice highlights from a student perspective. Senior Gus Cook has been nominated for the National High School Music Theater Awards. We had 18 students from AB who participated in the Massachusetts Badminton High School Team Championship Games, and they placed fourth in Division II, so congratulations. The AB Quiz Bowl team went to the national competition this year, where they placed 146th out of 320 teams, so a big kudos to them. And the high school came in 5th place out of 60 teams in the National Olympiad national tournament for the science program at Michigan State. And I didn't say that correctly because it's June. We also have a lot of exciting things happening around the district. Over the last week or so, I got to visit the Douglas Field Day. I got to go to Miriam's spring concert. Miriam had a topic fair that happened in their library this week. That was fantastic. McCarthy Town had a grade 1 desert tour. I went because I mistakenly first read it as a dessert tour, and I was all excited. I got there, and there were pictures of cacti, and I went, huh. But it was absolutely amazing to see the work that the students had done, talking to their parents and sharing. Gates had a tremendous all-school meeting where they got to actually recognize all their retirees in front of all the students and staff at Gates. That was great to see, and we have more and more and more happening. Some of you had the opportunity to get to the R.J. Gray Civics Fair that took place yesterday. Absolutely amazing project by our students. I want to thank the Acton League of Women Voters for being able to work with that group. It really presents a great community partnership for our staff and students. And then kudos to Conant. They collected over 450 personal hygiene items for the Resource Center. So a big thanks there. And Douglas just hosted a multilingual family night for a year-end celebration. So congratulations to Douglas for that too. Lots of great stuff happening over the next week in the schools. Shout out to our families, our staff, and our students who deserve the break that they are so close to getting.
Excellent. Thank you, Peter. Any questions for Peter? Vikram.
Just regarding electric buses, isn't Massachusetts putting out like a $42 million incentive for electric buses across the district? And is somebody researching that? Or is that going to be talked about, I'd imagine?
Kate is nodding, potentially yes? Yes, it is. Massachusetts has a $42 million initiative, so that's what we're looking at. The 200,000 was the EPA number. I'm surprised and I feel very grateful that we received money from the EPA because a lot of those federal funds have actually been targeted to gateway communities and helping gateway communities move first toward electrification. We were kind of a rare suburban district who made that list. So, I think big credit to Kate. Also, big credit to the town of Acton for all the work on kind of the decarbonization work that we've been able to do with the town of Acton. Just want to give that shout out that it's put us in a good place to apply for grants.
And I'll just comment, very rarely does a person who comes for public comment and ask for something get it in the same meeting. So congratulations, we're making progress towards electric school buses. All right, we are going to move on to our guests and presentations. This evening we have a presentation from the Special Education Parent Advisory Council, also known as the CPAC. And I'd like to welcome Amanda Bailey and Abe Gutierrez up for their presentation. Hi, Amanda. Hi, Gabe. Don't forget to turn your microphone on, and we're all yours.
Thanks, Adam. Before we begin, we'd like to take this opportunity to thank Jennifer Truslow for her collaboration and support over the last 3 years. This has been one of the hardest periods in education, particularly in special ed, and we're grateful for her hard work, and we wish her the very best. I need the mic.
In regards to our mission, students with disabilities are the most vulnerable students among the student population. This includes students with IEPs, 504s, and those yet to be identified to have a disability. Oftentimes, parents of students with disabilities are unaware of available resources and valuable knowledge to help their children be successful on their educational journey.
So the CPAC has both a participatory and advisory role under the state law, and we tend to think of it this way, that we collect individual experiences together into a collective to develop advisories, which then we hope would impact systems level change and affect systems level change on things like policies, programs, practices, and services.
To increase awareness of both the CPAC and available resources, we do so via a few different ways, including attending open houses, working with other groups such as the PTO, and we also value being included when the district is conducting searches to ensure that families that are present, families that we represent are considered. And for that, we thank you. The online feedback form and listening sessions facilitated collecting information from families. The recommendation model that we use is actually one used for dyslexia, and it's used by other CPACs as well, as we seek to fulfill our advisory role as a CPAC. The goals in mind were to recognize not only what is working well, but also what could be improved to better serve students with autism. The corresponding list of recommendations is available on our site. A change affecting everyone working with IEPs is the new IEP form. The Special Education Department has demystified navigating the form by creating some informative webinars, which are also available on our site. Another important resource to note is the Federation for Children with Special Needs. In addition to information on the new form, they also have a wealth of knowledge of available workshops for families as well.
So as we recap some of the things we did this year, some of our objectives, some of our priorities had to be set aside, largely due to the budget advocacy that needed to take place. One of the first actions that we took as we started to hear misinformation crop up in the community was to develop an FAQ document regarding special education. It allowed us to quickly dispel myths, and we were able to share this with town boards to help set the tone for some of the conversation. We also wrote letters to town officials, news outlets, and shared information as fast as we could and as effectively as we could with families via social media, our newsletter, and we also engaged with direct budget advocacy in conjunction with Together for Acton, endorsing their activities, and then out there on street corners and in driveways and on the phone, and just really trying to back this effort. So this ate up a lot of our year. We do also want to note that even though the Acton override passed, that there are still cuts to special education for next year, as well as other areas in the district. Other accomplishments this year that we did manage to achieve, we held our annual basic rights presentation, which is required. This year the topic was evaluations and eligibility. We were able to push out information, particularly new guidance from the United States Department of Education around assistive technology, some information about 504 plans. We wrote a letter in support of the Blanchard Accessible Playground rebuild. We engaged in some advocacy regarding the eligibility referral process, clarifying, that parents, guardians, they don't need to use specific language when expressing they have a concern about their child to start the formal eligibility process and evaluation process. We wanted to make sure that parents have a copy of the procedural safeguards so that they understand their rights in that, and just that a screening is not a replacement for an evaluation. At the superintendent's invitation, we participated in the Student Opportunity Act plan input regarding chronic absenteeism. We developed a feedback form and quickly got that out to families to gather input around causes of chronic absenteeism for students with disabilities, among them complex medical needs and anxiety, and then also a preliminary list of suggestions of remedies and things that may help. We also have an ongoing feedback form to collect information from folks around educators, staff, paraprofessionals who are making a difference for students and families, and we were able to send feedback, those quotes, to those 17 staff members we heard about, and then CC their supervisors, and that's always a really great way to just sort of acknowledge the daily efforts that people are making.
For the coming school year, we will focus on developing recommendations regarding inclusion practices, continuing to provide support on the new IEP form implementation, because it is a much larger undertaking than people may think. We'll be further advocating with regard to Gen Ed progress reporting, and we'll continue our efforts on information gathering via parent-guardian survey, as well as outreach and engagement to help build a more inclusive community.
And while we're here, as mentioned by Peter previously, Blanchard Principal Dana Lab is moving on after 10 years in Acton-Boxborough. While he's the first person to point to everyone around and celebrate the team, Dana stands out as a leader and valued partner in advocating for students with disabilities. From the start, the children assigned to Pathways were never an afterthought. Dana carefully considered their accommodations and worked with families and staff to try to make sure students had what they needed to successfully and meaningfully participate in the life of the school, to be included in the gen ed classroom, in field days, and chorus concerts. Our families rarely hear the good stuff about our children. Dana made a point of sending messages home to let parents know that time with their child was the highlight of his day. He's an administrator who doesn't stand by with a walkie when a kid is dysregulated. He'll climb under the table with them. You often hear him asking as he passes someone in the hall, "How can I help?" The Blanchard Playground project to replace the old structure with an accessible, inclusive space was Dana's brainchild. Again, he's the first person to state that it takes a village, but he was the heart and the muscle behind bringing that project home for the kids in the community. We thank him for this tremendous effort on behalf of all kids, all of whom will benefit. From the CPAC lens, Dana actively sought input and welcomed feedback. Sometimes it wasn't easy to hear, but he took in information with curiosity and a commitment to making things better. He has a keen understanding of how trying situations play out around the IEP table, not on one side or the other. His door was always open to parents or caregivers who needed the space to process what was happening with their children. The CPAC will be presenting him with an award in the coming week. We'd like to take a moment now to acknowledge Dana's contributions, sincerely thank him for his leadership, and wish him the very best in his future endeavors. Last night, elections.
We recently had our 2024-2025 officer elections. For co-chairs, it will be Amanda Bailey and myself again. And for secretaries, Jamie Bermudez and Lynette Cassell.
And as always, our thanks to Director of Special Ed Jennifer Truslow, Assistant Director Dan Mazur, Superintendent Peter Light, and you all for your ongoing collaboration and support. We're happy to take any questions you may have.
Thanks, Amanda. Thanks, Gabe. Questions from the committee? Andrew.
First off, thank you for the work that you do, the folks you help. The light you shine is inspiring, and thank you for all having a steady voice and broad vision. I have a question that may or may not be answerable, but you brought up the new IEP forms, and I was curious what the revision of the form was hoping to accomplish.
So Massachusetts hasn't had a revision to the IEP form in 20 years, and it was dubbed the IEP Improvement Project because the current form is cumbersome and not intuitive and not fantastic. So it was a years-long process with many stakeholders, ourselves included. We participated in some of those feedback processes to make it more streamlined, to incorporate best practices from other states. It starts now with the student vision for all students, not just those transition age, but even the littles, of what they hope to learn, what they want to get out of the next year of school. And it embeds more transition planning practices. So it's in theory, it's going to be a better form, but at the same time, it's a huge undertaking to make that shift for every single student.
Hi. I'd also like to say thank you for your presentation and all of the hard work that you guys do all year long, around the clock. I'd like to ask about your involvement in the upcoming plan to do the look at a portrait of a graduate and what your input might be for what you would want to add to that conversation.
We're not part of that conversation at this time.
Tori?
I really appreciate the specificity of the autism recommendations, and if people haven't read them, they're worth a read. I'm excited to see inclusion as your focus next year. I think that's really important to a sense of belonging. I'm wondering if you will be able to get feedback from parents besides just those from the families that have kids involved in special ed, because really this is a community conversation, it is not the burden of the special education world to make this work.
Absolutely, and we can work with the joint PTOs around this. I'm speaking very preliminarily here, very, very ahead of ourselves here. But we do have engagement with the joint PTOs and can engage in that way. I think that there needs to be a lot of education about what inclusion is. It's that forgotten part of DEI. So having an understanding there first and then working out from there. But you're exactly right, it is a community conversation. It has to be a community effort.
So my question, first of all, thank you for all that you do. And I know a lot of time the conversation with the CPAC is how do we reach out to more families who could take advantage of the resources that you have. And so my question for you is there something we as a committee can do to help continue and push forward some of the outreach that you're doing and make sure that you're connected with all of those families who may need you but not know about you?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the biggest barriers we face, obviously. Is people don't usually find us until there's a problem, and we don't hear from the happy people. So one of the things that the district has offered is to extend the CPAC a Parent Square account to be able to reach out to families. We do have an opt-in newsletter, but we don't reach everyone that way, and we don't reach people who may be wondering, or who may not have been identified as having a student with a disability that needs an IEP. So working that way to be able to reach more folks. I think, too, the survey is a great opportunity for us to find out directly from people, how do they want to hear from us, how frequently, what do you want information about? So we have an opportunity there too, and in the past we have translated that survey, and we would seek to do that again to make sure that we're reaching all the families we need to.
Excellent, thank you. Any last questions for the CPAC? No. Thank you very much for coming and presenting this evening. Okay, next item on our list is new business, and I'll ask Kate Crosby to come forward and talk to us about the DOER Climate Leader application submissions. Peter and I were just commenting how grateful we are that Beth is back with us this evening so that she can bring the presentations up so that he and I aren't fumbling and sort of trying to kill time while we figure out what presentation needs to be up. So we're happy to have you, Beth.
Good evening. My name again is Kate Crosby, and I'm the energy manager for the school district. And I don't think there's no slide. You have a memo in your packet, and also accompanying that is a proposed policy on zero emission vehicle first. And those are the two materials that are related to this too short segment. I want to acknowledge the fast acting leadership of Sherry and other members of the facilities team in processing the US EPA grant of $200,000 for the electric school bus. Is wonderful. I will note in my short time that we don't have a depot that we control that's adequate for moving forward beyond a sort of a onesie, twosie electric school bus situation. So that is a long-term capital planning need that needs to be addressed in order to consider electrifying the vehicle fleet. The Climate Leaders Program is a new initiative by Mass DOER. It is a sister program to the Green Communities program, which Town of Acton has been in for a long time. Town of Acton would like to move to this next tier. I want to recognize the Town of Boxborough, which is moving forward as a green community. They finally, some of the obstacles that have been in their way have been cleared, and we are also in the process of moving forward on supporting Boxborough with its Green Communities application, which we anticipate will turn into grant money for efficiency projects at Blanchard. And I'm tremendously excited and appreciative of all the hard work that Boxborough has done to make that happen, both citizens and town staff. But what's before you tonight is working with the Town of Acton in partnership on the Climate Leaders application. It requires two activities by the district. One is approval of the zero emission vehicle first policy, which is an update to the policy adopted in 2010 as part of Green Communities participation. And in addition, an early rough sketch of a decarbonization map for the district. I will say to you that this program is a very first effort by the state to coax municipal governments and school districts into looking ahead 25 years, how we might get to 2050 and have eliminated fossil fuel use on site by then. There are lots of carrots in stepping into this program. There are no sticks, no punitive elements. We're early in the curve. Early adopter advantages have happened for Acton-Boxborough before, and I expect that might happen again with this program. So it's about sort of understanding and discerning how we might plan long-term. Certainly, there are capital costs involved, and town meetings will need to vote yes in order to meet those capital needs. But we can't really even speak to those without being able to do some planning.
Thanks,
Questions?
Kate. So I think what I'd like to do first, we do have a policy that we're going to discuss. Let's hold that till the sort of the second part because I want to check in with policy sub. So first I want to open up to the committee if they've got any questions about the program, about the memo that Kate gave us in terms of what we need to be doing next. Tori.
Thank you. Just to make sure I have my head wrapped around this, I heard you say capital costs, I heard you say town meeting. Are you saying that this isn't going to be something we have to factor into the operational budget?
I don't anticipate effects on the operating budget. I do think that if we were to electrify all of our existing buildings and make them as efficient as possible in doing so, fuel costs might go up a small bit, but it's very hard to forecast that from here. I don't expect a big impact.
Okay.
And we can't. This program from the state calls for renewal of the plan every 3 years because it's a dynamic process, right? So it's hard to anticipate, but I don't expect a big impact on operating costs.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? Leila?
It's not a question. I just wanted to say thank you for being so knowledgeable and thoughtful throughout this process. And I don't see why we would have any hesitation. So thank you.
And I'll just add, I'm really excited about this. I know that we've been reminded every 2 weeks by the resource source that we need to get something done. And I'll be really honest that it's great to have you here, but it's really hard to make progress on something when there isn't support from the state and from the government to help make that happen. And so this is a way for us to take some action, but also see some funds that help support that. So I'm very much in support. And I think that as we continue to move forward, particularly around the roadmap, I would like us to consider some of the recommendations from the resource force about some accountability, about some stretch goals in what we're doing. So I think this is an exciting first step. It puts some money behind the activities that we want to take. All right, so the next thing we'll do is we'll move on to the policy. So there's a zero energy vehicle first policy. My comment is there's a lot of abbreviations that end in EV in this policy, but I'm going to hand it over to Liz real quickly and just ask as part of your update for the policy subcommittee if you can talk a bit about what you guys did with regards to this.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. And so this policy that we're bringing for you for the first read has kind of come out of a much broader conversation that we started, with the resource force. They did present us with this very robust resolution, and really the policy subcommittee was more thinking like, okay, how do we give this teeth and not just have this, be sort of an empty promise that would need to, we're kind of kicking the can. So before we even put that into place, we wanted to make sure that we sort of had more measurable goals that we could build into that type of resolution for the future. And so, in our many conversations with Kate, she's been absolutely fabulous at sticking it out with us at 7:30 a.m. on Zoom. And just sort of going through, hearing all of the different plans, the different opportunities, and we've sort of started to focus it a little bit more. And so this kind of is the first step, and especially if we are able to go forward with this program alongside with the town of Acton to have this roadmap for decarbonization, this is kind of the first piece is, adopting this policy on the electrification of vehicles.
Excellent, thank you.
And grants.
And grants.
Grants.
Did we say there was money attached to this?
Yep, there's money.
There's money. All right, any questions from the committee on the policy? Obviously, it's a first read, so we've got some time between now and our second read and vote will actually be a bit of a business meeting in front of our workshop on the 24th of June is when we'll actually vote this. So if you've got questions now, happy to take them, and then if you don't, please feel free to send them to Liz and Peter, who will then make sure that they get through to Kate following that. Ben.
Great, thank you.
great first cut at the policy. One question I have is there is no mention of battery energy storage systems, BESS. Should that be included within this policy? I know that storage systems are separate from EVs and EVSEs, but I think it's important that we recognize it as part of the whole electrification process.
Can I give a comment on that? I think in order to qualify for some of these DOER grants and help move the town of Acton, move that forward, and then actually receive some of the grant money from it, there's a hard deadline that we have to be able to make, and the school committee would need to vote a specific ZEV policy first as part of that. I don't know that there would be a path for the school committee to develop battery energy storage component of this. I do think that's a valuable policy that the school committee might want to undertake, but I would suggest that that's done separately so we don't compromise access to grant money and moving the rest of the process forward.
Going after the very same grant money at work, I'm not going to stand in the way of that, so let's move forward.
And our goal is to beat you to that.
Excellent. Any other questions or comments on the policy now? Again, if you have any, please forward them over to Liz and Peter. Thank you so much, Kate.
Of course. Thank you.
All right. Next item is the approval of the superintendent's recommendation to appoint Mary Emmons as interim director of special education. Peter, I'll hand it to you.
All right, so, as we announced at a previous meeting, I just want to take an opportunity and thank Jen Truslow. She's here right now. I think being a director of special education has long been one of the hardest roles in, I don't think we actually have to specify setting. I actually just think it might be one of the hardest jobs that there is. You're constantly going in 1,000 directions. I just want to thank Jen for all that she's done over the last 3 years she's been here. She has been a tremendous advocate for students with disabilities, their families, and programs throughout the district. So Jen, thank you so much for everything you've done. With Jen's departure, because of the timing in the school year, this is another position similar to a principal position where we have exhausted the window for a search for a full-time position that's long-term, and we're in the position where we're looking for an interim. We had an opportunity to reconnect. Not me personally, but as a district, with Mary Emmons, who had spent a large part of her professional career at AB as an educator and in various administrative roles, including a stint as an interim director of special education. Before, she had a similar position in the Lincoln Public Schools for 8 years. Mary recently retired from Lincoln a couple of years ago, has been coaching directors of special education around the state over the last couple of years and has remained involved. When we had a need, we reached out to Mary. Mary was willing to come back, help us out. And so, we have Mary here tonight. And Mary, you're welcome to come up if the committee has any questions that they'd like to ask or make any comments. I will say with the transition, it was incredibly important for us to maintain stability for our students with disabilities as well as our staff and families. We did make a decision to keep the Assistant Director of Special Education role in place and have Dan Mazur continue in that role with us. We had attrition within the Finance Department. We have 2 people leaving at the end of this school year, as well as changes, obviously, with Jen leaving, where we were actually able to fully fund the assistant director position within the central office portion of the operating budget. So there is no use of reserves for the assistant director position. There's also, no impact on staffing in other elements of the district. I just want to reassure you of that. But really, at a time with a lot of leadership change, continuity in special education is at a premium, and we thought it was incredibly important to do. So just want to make note of that and make sure I explain the funding to you, because I know funding is at a premium, just like staffing is. So with that, I'll turn it over to Adam and Mary.
Thanks, Peter. Questions from any member of the committee? Okay. So if there are no questions, is there a motion to approve Mary Emmons as the interim director of special education?
So moved. Second.
Let me finish the request for the motion. the Interim Director of Special Education for the 2024-2025 school year effective July 1st, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
So that'd be Ben and Vikram. I'll pause here for discussion or comments by Mary. And if you could turn your mic. Yep,
Okay.
there you go.
It even has a face on there, so thank you. First of all, it's exciting to be sitting here and be back. As Peter said, my husband had been prior military, so we had been in 5 other states before coming to Massachusetts, and I was here for 20 years, and it was a wonderful home. My kids went to school here, graduated from AB. I just want you to know that I have a lot of historical knowledge, but I think what's going to be the most important is to know where Acton-Boxborough is today. And so to do that, I plan to listen, create relationships with parents, with the community, with our staff members, and with our administrators. It's important to listen first and then create those relationships. I think at the heart of everything is relationships. I'm glad the new IEP is being rolled out because I firmly believe that our students' vision should inform our decision-making, and what we do for students in the IEP is important. Even as Amanda said, the littles. So we want to make sure we're listening to our students and they drive our decision-making. So I'm excited to be here and be sitting in this room that looked a lot different when I left. So thank you very much, and I look forward to getting to know all of you. So thank you.
Thanks, Mary. Any other discussion? All right. Yeah, Liz.
I just wanted to say that I'm very excited, to have you. Jen, you will be very missed. I think that we are going to be in very good hands as well. So with the work that Jen has already done, and I am confident in your capabilities to continue on. So thank you.
Thank you. And I'm looking forward to, meeting with Jen and making sure that I have all the information. And she's been, reached out. And so we have time that we have set aside so we can talk and I can understand where AB is today and what our students need. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
I really appreciate both that you wanted to come back to AB. I think that just sort of speaks to how special our community is, but also what you just said about leading and starting off on the right foot by listening. I think that that's just really important for anybody coming in or even people that are here already and have been here for a while, to listen and try to create connection. I think community building is the most important part of the work that we can all be doing.
Yeah, partnering with parents and understanding what their hopes are for their children is really important to me. So, yeah. And I will say, when I think Joe is still here, when I left, Joe and I had proposed the program at Blanchard, and I'm excited to get in there and see it has really expanded. So
4 classrooms for next year.
that's what I
from 1.
understand.
All right. So we have a motion and a second already. So all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? That is unanimous. Thank you and welcome, Mary.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary, and welcome back.
Okay, on to the next item, which is the Superintendent's Annual Summative Review. That's all me. And I have a summary of the evaluations that I get to read into the record before we move on. So, we have a memo to Peter Light from myself, the chair of the Acton-Boxborough Regional School Committee. It is my pleasure to provide a summary of the performance evaluations for Superintendent Peter Light. The members of the school committee each submitted an evaluation based on the DESE rubric. It provides a consistent format for school committees to evaluate the superintendent's work towards their goals and across 4 standards of practice. In support of their evaluations, Peter shared with the committee some highlights and his own reflection for improvements from the past year. Additionally, he shared updates and evidence for this year's goals. This document is intended to summarize the individual comments of the committee and provide feedback, both positive and constructive, for Peter to use in his goal setting for the next years. Introduction. In the 2023-2024 school year marks Peter's 6th with Acton-Boxborough. Peter continues to be well respected by the staff, his peers, and the AB community as a whole. This year was marked by changes and challenges, both in the district offices and in the community. This year welcomed a new deputy superintendent and director of finance and operations. These two, under Peter's leadership, helped to navigate challenges in both healthcare and the district budget. Well accustomed to managing challenges like this, Peter again put in the hours and effort to transition the district to a new health insurance provider and supported the creation of multiple budgets to successfully pass an operational override in the town of Acton. The work on the budget was a gargantuan task, one that was recognized and appreciated by the entire committee. Standard 1, instructional leadership. The implementation of learning standards and inclusive cultural training under Peter's leadership was appreciated by some members. The focus on systemic, research-based curriculum integration and readiness to learn initiatives, such as SEL and anti-bullying curricula, demonstrates a commitment to high-quality, accessible education. The committee is interested to see how de-leveling high school courses will increase student engagement and access to advanced courses. This should lead to positive results in academic performance and student stress levels in the coming years. Despite continued budgetary challenges, Peter continues to lead the district through systematic improvements, particularly in multi-tiered systems of support, MTSS, and literacy curriculum implementation. The use of data-informed decisions has driven student performance improvements, but there is a concern about the loss of instructional leaders to support this work. The flex blocks and collaborative time in the high school have fostered positive growth. Peter's focus on meeting students' basic needs, as seen in the successful opening of the AB Resource Center, as well as planning and support of the migrant shelter, reflect a holistic approach to education and community support. Overall, the instruction in the district is seen as proficient, though some community members feel their voices are not always heard, particularly regarding the focus on students with the most need. Moving forward, balancing the needs of all students will be crucial. Peter's leadership has been characterized by clarity and decisiveness, particularly in implementing inclusive training and data-driven decision-making that enhance both teaching and learning. A majority of the committee rated Peter as proficient in Standard 1. Standard 2, management and operations. Peter continues to improve district efficiency and transparency. This was true, especially during this year's challenging budget discussions. Despite some community members feeling disconnected from the organization's inner workings, Peter effectively communicated the district's situation and its potential effects on students and staff. His transparency, swift action, and handling of an excruciating budget year continue to demonstrate why this is an area of strength for Peter. This year's budget process was a significant challenge, with Peter and his team creating multiple budgets while balancing their daily duties and ensuring there was a plan in place for every eventuality. They did this while adhering to all applicable policies, laws, and ethics. Peter supported the development of recommendations to address community concerns about school resource officers and, again, promoted the AB Resource Center to support diverse families. He also provided significant support to the new finance director and assisted in the financial oversight of the district during this fiscally challenging year. His contributions saved the district money this year. Despite the success of the budget override, concerns about staff morale and resource distribution persist. There's also a concern that the focus on diversifying district staff was less of a focus than in previous years. Peter's leadership during incidents like storm and school safety issues, along with his focus on equity and student excellence, underscores his capability and commitment to the district. A majority of the committee rated Peter as proficient in Standard 2. Standard 3, family and community engagement. Communication was an area of focus for Peter this year. His work with a communication consultant and his own development work led to clearer and more concise messages tailored for a broader audience. Particularly, the timely implementation of Parent Square during a district-wide emergency supported this work. Peter's efforts this year included in-person discussions, video explainers, and caregiver surveys. Additionally, Peter skillfully navigated budget communications while complying with campaign finance laws. Peter addressed family concerns promptly, and he continues to show great patience with all the emails and questions from the members of the community. Peter ensures specialists communicate with families about student progress and provides family learning on mental health topics. His updates celebrate student successes and are translated for non-English speaking families via Parent Square. Overall, Peter's proactive engagement and communication have been praised, though there is recognition that continued effort is needed to ensure all community members are informed and involved. His use of innovative communication tools and methods has been effective in enhancing the flow of information and fostering a supportive network. Again, it was clear in the committee ratings that Peter's efforts here paid off, as half of the committee rated Peter as exemplary in Standard 3, and the remaining half rated him as proficient. Standard 4, professional culture. Peter continues to demonstrate diplomacy and inclusivity when addressing conflicts, ensuring that decisions reflect the inputs of all stakeholders. Despite the significant budget challenges for FY24 and FY25 demanding much of his attention, his proficiency in leading a professional culture remains evident. Peter's efforts in cultural proficiency are commendable and seen as initiatives like Unteasables at McCarthy Town and the anti-hate and bias training across the district. Peter's interpersonal communication skills are a standout strength as he effectively articulates difficult topics and unites people to make a difference. His work to refine messaging further highlights his innovative approach to effective communication. Despite budget constraints, Peter fosters a culture of continuous learning, sharing resources, and encouraging staff to reflect on practices and utilize research to improve outcomes. Peter continues to make strides in cultural proficiency for the district with various programs and policies aimed at increasing cultural sensitivity and breaking down barriers to inequality. He promotes exploration and collaboration, encouraging staff participation in initiatives that enhance cultural relevance in education. However, one member noted challenges, particularly in addressing biases at the building level, which impact students and families from diverse backgrounds. Efforts to improve building level staff's cultural competence and professionalism are crucial for creating an inclusive and supportive environment for all students. Overall, Peter maintains excellence across multiple areas of this standard, including cultural proficiency, communication, and continuous learning. His commitment to maintaining high expectations and fostering a culture of excellence and inclusivity has significantly enhanced the educational experience in the district. Peter's leadership has ensured that the district continues to progress towards its goals, preparing students for post-secondary success and responsible citizenship. In rating Peter on Standard 4, a majority of the committee provided a proficient rating. Conclusions. Peter has demonstrated a remarkable diligence and persistence as superintendent, managing significant pressures, especially regarding the district's budget challenges. Despite these fiscal constraints, he has maintained a dedicated commitment to achieving district goals and improving operational efficiency. His leadership style, which prioritizes the district's betterment, coupled with enhanced communication methods, has fostered better staff and community collaboration. Peter's adeptness and proficiency have positively impacted the Acton-Boxborough community, showcasing his exceptional leadership skills. Peter has exemplified resilience and effective management in yet another challenging year. He adeptly handled budget reductions while maintaining team integrity and responded to previous recommendations by improving his and the district's communication. His transparent approach to the budget crisis and tireless efforts to gather and present data facilitated a successful override and demonstrated his commitment to presenting multiple solutions. Despite the overwhelming financial challenges, Peter continued to pursue improvements with a positive outlook, proving his capability to navigate the complexities inherent in the position. Peter's leadership extends beyond crisis management to fostering a culture of continuous learning and inclusivity. He actively engages with families in the community, promoting culturally relevant practices and effective communication. Under his guidance, the district has made significant strides in areas such as instructional leadership, student support systems, and community engagement. Peter's unwavering dedication, empathy, and forward-thinking approach have solidified his role as an invaluable asset to the district, setting a high standard for educational leadership and community calibration. In his overall performance rating, a majority of the committee rated Peter as proficient. The committee looks forward to Peter's continued dedication to the district, confident that the next 6 years will bring even greater achievements and advancements to Acton-Boxborough. Thank you, Peter. Okay. Is there any comments or discussion on the long dissertation I just read out loud to you all? Seeing none, is there a motion to accept the annual summative review for Superintendent Peter Light dated June 6, 2024, as I just presented?
So moved.
Seconded.
That was Tori and then Vikram. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? That is unanimous. Thank you. All right. Next up is the discussion of the FY25 contract and salary. I just need a second. Okay. Thank you. We started this year recognizing Peter's commitment to the district and some of the unique challenges that have happened over the previous 5 years, and entered into contract negotiations with Peter early in the year. We put in place a pretty complete framework early in the year, and as I said, it was early in the year, so we hadn't quite hit October when we had a lot of budget challenges. So we did decide to sort of table the conversation and the negotiations around the contract and come back to it now. So we do have, we're bringing to Peter and the committee a new contract for the superintendent. And so first thing I want to do is highlight some of the changes in that contract, and then we'll have our discussion and proposal around the new salary that's part of that contract. And then we will vote both the contract and the salary together. And I'm just very quickly double checking my agenda to make sure that that is exactly what we're doing. It is. Okay. So a summary of the changes. The contract in many ways is exactly the same. I do have 3 sections of the contract that we have changed. I'll provide a bit of a summary of what those are here. And then as always, once the contract is approved and signed, it is up on the district website. So the first is in section 1 of the contract, which is around employment. And here what we've done is we have extended the term of the contract for 6 years. So in recognition of Peter's commitment and our commitment to Peter, we have taken the term of the contract and made it for a total of 6 years. We've also added a clause in that section that provides the committee an option to extend the contract at the end of each year for 1 additional year, so that the contract term maintains a 6-year length. As part of that, though, we did include the option or the statement that every 3 years we will sit down and review the contract as a whole, so that we're not just every year revoting and adding another year to the contract. So that's what's under the employment section. Under section 7, which is about vacation time, we decided to give Peter 5 more vacation days so that his vacation time was aligned with the rest of the administrator contracts. So he has now 25 vacation days total. There is a limit now of a carryover of 5 days of that vacation time, and a note that the vacation time is accrued at 2.08 days a month. All of these were to align Peter's vacation time in his contract with the rest of the administrator contracts. And then we made changes to the compensation section of the contract. So we'll discuss the salary in a minute, but there'll be a new salary. We've also, in recognition of Peter's long-term commitment to the district, and again, our long-term commitment to him, we've included a clause for longevity pay. So each year, there is a longevity pay of $2,500. And then each 3 years after that, that longevity pay increases by $750. We've also cleaned up some of the reimbursement. So today, when Peter uses his personal vehicle, he has to submit mileage and reimbursement for every usage. It's a great deal of time and energy, and so instead we looked at what the total usage was and put in a blanket allowance of $2,000 for a travel allowance for personal vehicle. It means Peter doesn't have to submit receipts and mileage every time, and that's paid once at the beginning of the year and once in the middle of the year, $1,000 each there. And then finally, we formalized some expenses related to the superintendent with regards to conferences, membership dues, and professional development expenses. So Peter has obviously been going to conferences and having membership dues paid by the district. We have formally set a cap on that at $5,500 per year. There is the ability for Peter to come to the chair or the committee and ask for additional funds should he find a professional development opportunity that exceeds that budget, a national conference, a specialty training program. So that's all of the changes in the contract, other than the salary, which we'll get to in a second. I'll pause there, see if there are any questions from the committee on any of that. Okay. So we did meet, obviously, in executive session and discuss the compensation for the superintendent, and we voted and approved an increase in salary for the superintendent of 3.5% increase, which would set the salary at $248,525. So now we've gone through the overview of the changes to the contract. We've announced what the salary is for the superintendent. Is there any further discussion or questions or comments? Personally, I'd like to thank Peter for an excellent job this year and your dedication to the district. Thank you. And is there a motion to approve the superintendent's contract and set the salary at $248,525 for FY25?
So moved.
Second.
If it weren't late, I'd make you guys do rock, paper, scissors to figure that out. But I'll give that to Ben and Tori. Thank you. Any last opportunities for discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? That is unanimous. Thank you very much, Peter. Please.
No, yeah, I want to give Adam a water break here. So, first, with regard to the evaluation, I always appreciate the comments and feedback. It gives me an opportunity to think about the impact that I'm having. As I say, every year, it's, especially as you commend different aspects of performance, it's always a bit embarrassing because every time you recognize something positive, I can give you a list of all the people who actually did that work. And, to sit here, obviously, Sherry, Deb, and Andrew were sitting here, but Jen Truslow was here earlier. We have an entire team of people at central office, but then all the building principals and, all the staff in the district and our bus drivers and, cafeteria and food service workers. I mean, really, it goes on and on and on. All the people to contribute to all of the good things that happen. And I just want to recognize that, my annual evaluation, it's the joy of being conducted in public, but it's also a recognition of all the positive that our staff do every day. And, usually the areas of feedback are things that would have gone smoothly and yet I inserted myself into, which, is a fair assessment of things. But seriously, I appreciate the feedback. Thank you. I always look forward to being able to kind of sit back in the summer, go through that in a little bit more depth, speak with you individually about different thoughts and ideas, and then develop that into my own personal goals for the following year. In terms of the contract, I just want to say how much I've appreciated the last 6 years working at AB. Coming into AB, I had been in one community for 21 years, and I looked at the average lifespan of superintendents nationally and statewide, and had a lot of trepidation about making that next jump. I was in a comfortable place, a place that I liked, and Acton-Boxborough obviously has a long and storied history around education and the value placed on education, but kind of putting yourself out into that public role for the first time carries some, it has a weight to the thought. I haven't regretted it for a moment since. It's absolutely an amazing place to work. The staff are beyond incredible in our schools, the work that they do with kids every day, the level of support for education in our community is astounding, the value that our families place on the work that they do. When I was looking at districts to apply to, I knew I wanted to go to a district with a higher level of diversity. And I just so appreciate everything in the community and all of the different thoughts, ideas, cultures, backgrounds, religions, everything else that goes into making Acton and Boxborough what they are, has been truly a pleasure to be able to work with. Want to thank all the central office staff, personally. Certainly want to thank all of the staff district-wide and our building principals. They do all the heavy lifting, and I know in June that lift is exceptionally heavy right now. So, thank you to everyone. I want to thank the committee for, certainly the last 6 years, and I look forward to the next. It's been a fantastic ride, and I'm looking forward to next steps in the future and working with all of you and continuing that support.
Thanks, Peter. It's now time. I mean, we joked about this, that I was going to hand my gavel, but just really brought it. So we're on to our annual reorganization, and I'm going to hand it over to Peter.
All right. No, just had to try that. No, seriously. So we are at that point of the meeting and the point of the school year where the school committee holds its annual reorganization meeting. This is governed by your policy. So this was, the school committee's collective decision around how to proceed. Oftentimes there are administrative procedures that the superintendent and staff create to adjust to your policies. This is the rare exception to that, where the procedure is actually a school committee procedure because it's your reorganization. So I'm just going to go, through some of the procedures. You have them on your table, but I think it can be helpful for people who maybe don't have it in front of them. But at the first meeting after new members have been sworn in, the superintendent opens the floor for nominations, and you have an opportunity to nominate another member or yourself as candidates to serve as the next chairperson. A second is not needed for a nomination. It's just a single nomination for chair. Once all the candidates are identified and we make sure that there's no one else who's being identified, we close the floor to additional nominations, and that part of the meeting is closed. At that point, it says at the superintendent's discretion, each nominee is given an opportunity to speak. I think we will just give every nominee an opportunity to speak. And, you have then as committee members also have an opportunity to speak in support of candidates as well. When we get to voting, when the discussions are complete, I will call a roll call vote. Each member will be polled and then we'll vote for one candidate. A candidate must have a majority of weighted votes to be elected. So we have, I believe, 2 members from Acton missing. So Adam and I made sure we agreed on this. Normally it's 21.5 votes is the total number of weighted votes. Each Acton member has 2.5 votes, so that reduces it to 16 and thank you, I was going to say 1/2, but 0.5 is accurate as well, Adam. There's 2 ways to do math. I have the musician way, but 16 and a half or 0.5 votes would be, the total number of votes. So 8 votes in this case is 9. 8.5 votes actually is the majority. Thank you. Yeah, because we go in 0.5 increments. Thank you. See, that's why he's here. If we don't get to a majority, then we go through that process and we do another roll call vote until we get to a point where we have a majority voting for a candidate as chair. At that point, once we have a chair, I will turn it back over to the new chair, and they would go through the process for other candidates. Are there any questions in terms of the process?
If there is a new chair that's elected, do they sit there? We're going to do that?
So that's a great question. So number 5 in the procedure is the new chair and vice chairperson will take office on August 1st per the policy. It used to be that the new chair and chairperson took over immediately following the vote. It was really awkward, and it put the new chair in a challenging position because they didn't know what was happening in the meeting. Or what to do next in the meeting, and so it just led to kind of an inefficient end of the meeting. So, new person in this case would take over at the start of the new year in August. So, great question. Okay. Any other questions before we start? All right. So, well, I was thinking, like Hunger Games style for a moment there. But, what I'd like to do is open the floor for nominations at this point for chair of the Acton-Boxborough Regional School Committee. So I saw Andrew's hand up, then Lakshmi, and then Vikram.
Thanks.
Nominate, right?
Nominate, yes.
I wrote something. So I'm entering my second term here as a member of the Acton-Boxborough School Committee. And during my tenure, I've seen the impact this group has had on the lives of our friends, our families, the neighbors, and our kids. And being a part of this committee is more than just an annual free burrito at our summer workshop or enduring the unflattering camera angles on YouTube. It's also the opportunity to help create a better world for our kids and help those kids become their best people. To get those results, there will always be friction. It's a friction that often comes from differing paths to the same goals: great schools, great kids, great community. We've seen how that friction wants to get in the way of progress, and we have seen how managing that friction has created greater results. In the past year, our committee's focus has been on how to manage the friction around our budget, and while the committee provides guidelines and approves the budget, that path this year was one paved with many public discussions and coffee sessions and PowerPoint presentations and Zoom calls and conversations within our community. Those efforts were led by our chair, Adam Klein. Adam has been able to guide this committee and the community through this difficult process and done it in a way where, while many may be disappointed by the result, no one was left out of the conversation. He's shown great leadership in bringing all of our constituents together and making space for all voices. He's mentored new members and energized our existing committee. I can think of no one better suited for a second term as chair, and would like to nominate Adam Klein for a second term at the gavel, but not Peters.
Lakshmi? Oh, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to get cut to the chase. I'm going to nominate Rebecca. I think it's only right that we had Boxborough last year, and this year it should be Acton, and I've seen her participation has been really great, as good as Adam's, so I think we can take turns. That's it.
Rebecca? Yeah. Vikram?
I'd kind of like to follow in Andrew's train there. I think this last year has been incredibly tumultuous, and it's been a difficult ship to steer. And Adam, you have just done an absolutely stellar job with it. There's no question. Rebecca, you're absolutely wonderful as well. But yeah, thank you.
So right now, we have Rebecca and Adam are both nominated for chair. Are there any other nominations for chair? And I can do teacher wait time. Okay. Seeing no other nominations. At this point, one, I want to give each nominee an opportunity to speak to the nomination. Okay. The nominations. Oh,
I move to declare that nominations are closed.
So moved.
So Adam made the motion. I'm going to give, I'm giving it conciliatory to Vikram because he's been trying all night and hasn't made the second yet. So, so Adam and Vikram on that. So nomination, and all in favor of closing nominations? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right. Nominations are officially closed. Thank you, Beth. I think we should change the procedure that Beth just runs this part of the meeting because we all know what really happens. But I would like to give each of you an opportunity to speak to your nomination. Becca, would you like to go first?
I really appreciate the nomination. When I was sitting here last year, I felt that I certainly wanted to be chair, and going into my third year, I've learned a lot. I feel also that we had this discussion my first year about needing to sort of, and again, Adam has certainly done this, facilitate younger, newer leaders to be able to advance up so that we're not in a position where we don't have anyone that's got the experience. I feel strongly that I could do it, but I also know that I agree this year was very difficult. And Adam did a great job, and so, you know, whatever the will of the committee is, I will be happy with.
All right. Thank you, Becca. Adam, I'll let you speak.
Thank you to Vikram and Andrew for the nomination. I'm honored to be considered again. I've immensely enjoyed the role as chair this year. There's something about, I think, PTSD that makes you forget some of the bad parts, but I find it both challenging and rewarding. I accept the nomination. I want to thank Liz and Rebecca for their support and leadership as well this year. It's not a role that can be managed without some help, for sure. But I do believe there's more that I can do in this role, and like Andrew said, I can't make everybody happy all of the time. I hope that the committee agrees that I do my best to give everybody an opportunity to be heard and to contribute. For this next year, I'm looking to set some high expectations for all the members of this committee. We continue to engage in fruitful deliberation and broad community engagement in support of the district. I think we made a strong commitment to the community this year that we need to think hard and take some action around our budget, and I expect that would be a lot of our focus for next year. So I'm eager to remain as the chair. I'm committed to the work of this committee, so thank you.
All right, thank you both. What I'd like to do now is open up the floor to other committee members to be able to speak around the nominations. So we'll do that. All right,
Question for Adam. Any concerns about balancing the role of chair with potential extracurricular activities in Boxborough surrounding potential financial challenges? Realizing you just did that with the town of Acton, but possibly needing to have a prominent role there.
We've never had question and answer before, I think, so thank you for the question. No, I think, a lot of that work will have to happen through contributions of all the members of the committee and all the members of the town of Boxborough. So, I was happy to be part of the work that happened in Acton. I don't see it being any different in Boxborough, so I'm not concerned about that.
I'll kind of go around in case Lakshmi, anything? No. Andrew, anything else? Liz? No? Leela? Ben? Vikram? All right. I do not see any further comment then. So at this point, we will do a roll call vote, so you can either vote for Becca as chair or for Adam as chair, and we will go around until we have a majority. All right, so I will start on my right this time because I started on my left for the questions. So Vikram.
Adam.
Okay, Ben.
Adam.
Leela.
I hate this. Becca.
Becca.
I will vote for myself, awkwardly.
Adam.
Awkwardly, I will vote for myself, but my vote will count less than yours.
Liz.
Adam.
Andrew.
Adam.
Leela. Oh, Lakshmi, oh my God. I am so sorry. No, I am so sorry. Lakshmi. Becca. Yep. And Tori?
Can I say I don't like this one either? I know, and I'm stuck.
You're the tiebreaker.
I don't like that. I figured I probably was. Oh, jeez. Adam.
Right, and Tori voted for Adam. I see your mic wasn't on, so I'm just repeating. Oh, it was? I didn't, then I didn't hear it over here. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't do a spreadsheet for this. I'm done with spreadsheets for the year, I think. Beth, you would concur? Adam had that vote? Yes. All right, so Adam did have that vote, so congratulations, Adam. You get a second gavel.
Thank you. But you can have a vice chair gavel.
Thank you all very much. Thank you, and my portion of this is now done.
All right, thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. So now we are going to open the floor for nominees for vice chairperson from Acton. Liz.
I would like to nominate Rebecca.
Rebecca's been nominated as vice chair from Acton. Anybody else have nominations for vice chair from Acton? Vikram?
Rebecca.
She's already nominated, but we know how you're going to vote too now.
I'll take it.
Any other nominations? Rebecca?
I would like to nominate Tori for your exceptional leadership, just your energy level, the commitment that you've shown to this job. You've blown me away. This year has been really great, mostly because I've had you by my side throughout all of this.
All right. Any other nominations for vice chair from Acton? I'm not going to wait as long as Peter, so I'll accept a motion to close the nominations for vice chair from time. We've got
I move to close the nominations, and I used a microphone.
Second.
So that was Liz making the motion and Leela seconding. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? That's unanimous. All right, so we have Tori and Rebecca. Tori, you get to speak to your nomination first.
If this is what the committee wants, I will do it. Thank you, Becca. I think probably I've been surprised at how much I enjoy this and how much I enjoy this. This is just a really great group, and whatever my role is in here, I'm happy to play it.
And I feel the same way. I feel, any chance I have to serve and to help facilitate, positive change and growth is wonderful, and I welcome many and all opportunities to help out.
Thank you both. Members of the committee wishing to speak in favor of either nominee. We'll start down here with Vikram.
I think both Tori and Rebecca are exemplary. I think, Rebecca, you came so close to being the chair. I think of you as a wonderful co-chair. But when you nominated Tori, I think Tori would also be wonderful. But I think I weigh more heavily towards you, Rebecca.
I'm torn. Plain and simple. Nothing else to say.
Can I continue the question and answer period? This is a question for each nominee. Would you please rate on a scale of 1 to 10 how much you actually want to do it? Or is it like, let's be honest, if you're like, all right, I'm at a 5, but I'll continue, and the other person is like, oh, I'm at a 9, then I feel like, the consensus could be like, okay, this is what, I don't know. I don't know if I'm allowed to ask that, but I'm asking anyway.
I'd be happy to do it, and I think probably the piece that I know I have is maybe a little more schedule flexibility. And so, that's one of the things, again, as I'm thinking about these roles, they take a lot of time, they take a lot of commitment. There are periods of the day where I am really not very available, but I have a part-time job. I'm at 50%, and I don't have small children at home. So from that perspective, happy to make myself available. Sure, I'll put myself somewhere in the 8-ish range.
Say 8, just to piss
I would also put I was going to say 9.5, just to say. But yeah, I do have small children, and I have a new full-time job, and that absolutely has changed, my ability to schedule myself. So, next year would look different, depending on what committees I'm on. But I do really like this work, and I do really like all of you, and I really, weirdly enough, liked doing the presentation at town meeting.
Other comments? Lakshmi?
I haven't worked with Tori a lot, but I've seen Rebecca while working. What I like is she doesn't always go for a popular position. She asks the hard questions, and I think that is in the best interest of the community and the school. And I think I like that a lot.
I will add my view on this, and I think many of you, when you joined or were thinking about becoming members of the school committee, the question everyone always asks is, well, does it take a lot of time? Does it? And my response has always been and continues to be, it's only as much time as you're willing to commit to it. So I think regardless of where you sit, if you sit at the front table or if you sit off to the side, it's only as much time as you're willing to commit to it. And I think that both Rebecca and Tori have put in just a Herculean amount of time this year, so I thank you both for that. And my other recognition is, as someone who sat up here and sat around the side, there is plenty of good work that you can do from either position and either seat at the table, as evidenced by some of the amazing work that Tori has done this year. That being said, I think I'm more aligned with where Lakshmi's at, which is Rebecca's viewpoint isn't necessarily always the same as everyone else's, and I think that you bring a different and unique perspective on what we should be doing and challenging us. So my tendency is to lean towards you as a partner in crime next to me for next year. Any other members wish to speak? Vikram.
I just want to come to Tori's defense here a little bit, because I don't think she just sort of goes with the flow necessarily. But it's true, Rebecca, you do have a tendency to really come out with these great questions. Not that you don't either.
All right. Any other comments? All right. With that, then, we will go with the roll call voting. Which slide did we ended with you last time, Tori, so we will start with you this time.
I'm going to vote for Becca.
Lakshmi. Andrew.
Rebecca, you've got my vote. Tori, you've got my heart.
I'm tempted to abstain, but that's more work for Beth, so Rebecca.
Andrew voted for Rebecca.
So far, it's Rebecca.
6, 7, 8.5. We go until we hit a majority, right? So according to my calculation, we've hit a majority, but not leaving this side of the room. 2. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I gave Lakshmi an extra 1.5. 2 littles. You're losing to the musician voting. Come on. I have a fine arts degree as well, so I'm going to vote for Rebecca as well. So that puts us over, right? 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's 8, but 8.5 or 8.5 is. All right,
I feel like it's extra gauche now to have to vote for myself, but I will. Thanks.
All right. You're not off the hook, because I'm just going to continue around the table anyway.
Then I'll just vote for Tori for the heck of it.
Okay. Ben? Yeah.
I'm voting for Becca.
Okay. And Vikram?
I think it's very close, but I'm going to vote for Becca.
All right. Thank you. So if I did my calculation right, it's 14 for Becca and 2.5 for Tori. Congratulations, Rebecca. All right. And now I'm going to open nominations for the vice chair from Boxborough. Anybody wish to make a nomination?
Can I nominate Tori?
No? Yes. Not unless she's willing to move to Boxborough.
I have a spare room.
Lakshmi. There's a nomination for Liz. Any other nominations for vice chair from Boxborough? Seeing none, I'll accept a motion to close nominations.
So moved.
Seconded.
All right, that was Leela and then Ben. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Unanimous. Liz, do you wish to speak to your nomination?
Sure. Thank you for the nomination. I really enjoy this, especially where, like over the past year, I've realized I don't have remotely enough time to be the chair. So I feel like I do still get to help, in some of those capacities, and appreciate your faith in me.
Any other members of the committee wish to speak to the nomination of Liz? Vikram.
Liz, I'd like to say I've just been blown away by your knowledge about the school committee. You have just from day one when I first met you to go over there to get the Black Lives Matter, and my wife and I and our kids, you have just been amazing, and so I'm really glad that you're the co-chair for Boxborough.
Anyone else? All right, so now we will go and vote for Liz for Vice Chair from Boxborough. We'll start over here. Vikram.
Liz.
Ben.
Liz.
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 Tori. No, Liz.
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 All right, so that is unanimous for Liz. Thank you, and congratulations, everybody. All right, we're only 6 minutes behind schedule, so it says in my agenda. So we're moving on to ongoing business, which is the approval of the ABRHS handbook. This is... Hi. Oh, but do we... So is there a motion to appoint the absolutely amazing and wonderful Beth Petter as the secretary of the school committee?
So moved.
Second.
Is it possible to put in the minutes the entire committee, both moved and seconded?
We love this.
All right, so I'm going to say that Andrew made the motion and Lakshmi made the second on that. So is there any discussion on that topic?
We should get her a crown.
A crown of thorns, I think, sometimes. All those in favor as Beth Petter as Secretary of the School Committee, please say aye. Any opposed, any abstentions? That is unanimous. Thank you so much, Beth. So happy to have you. We miss you when you're not here, but we recognize that it's not possible for you always to be here. Okay, now we're 8 minutes behind schedule. We don't need to do the treasurer right now. Is it say in here, treasurer?
Yeah, you'll appoint a treasurer, just not at this meeting.
Yes. Are we okay to move on to ongoing business now? I'm second guessing my decision to be chairing. All right, approval of the ABRHS handbook. This is our second read. In your packet was the modified memo, updated based on feedback. If everyone has had a chance to review those proposed changes made to the handbook following our May 16th meeting, I will see if there's any comment from the superintendent who looks like he wants to make a comment, and then we'll have a motion to approve it.
Yeah, so it is the night before graduation, so, Joni asked, was very willing to stay, and I sent her home so that she could focus on graduation and making sure everything went smoothly tomorrow. Probably the biggest point of feedback from the committee was around attendance policy, and we actually clarified that the high school does quite a bit already to allow families to document absences. So the high school, I think there was confusion in how it was described and even in the original language of the policy, but the high school actually allows families to document those first 5 absences without needing any kind of doctor's note or anything else. And then they get an additional, I think, 2.5 or two absences beyond that before then they start to require documentation. So that does provide flexibility for travel in the event that that takes place. So hopefully we resolved that concern, and that is now reflected in some different language in the handbook that we tried to make a little clearer, and we're asking for your vote tonight.
Thanks, Peter. Any other questions or comments or motions?
I'd like to make a motion to approve. I just shut down my laptop, so sorry.
The ABRHS FY25 handbook.
Correct.
Second.
And Ben made the motion and Tori seconded. Any last discussion on that? All of those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Also unanimous. Thank you. Oh gosh, there's a school committee communication goal update here on the agenda. I don't have anything. Anybody else have any communication goal updates? Great. Subcommittee.
This is really cool to have an opportunity to walk with the Memorial Day Parade. School committee was there represented, as well as these Acton Select Board, and the high school band did a fabulous job, and it was a really wonderful opportunity to see the whole community come out to celebrate our foes, our friends, not our foes.
To celebrate those who served.
Those who gave their best, gave their all. This is Memorial Day. Memorial Day, not those who served.
Any other communication goal updates? Lakshmi?
I think we should continue the communication effort we did for override, not stop here. I did hear from some folks things that I feel like is tending towards misinformation, so I think we should continue our effort.
Excellent. Yeah, I think that what we will do is we've got our workshop, we'll sort of fast forward, but we've got our workshop coming the 24th of June, and that will be the time where we discuss sort of how we did this year, what we want to focus on for next year, and we've also got a guest coming to speak to us as well. So that'll be the opportunity where we can think about how we continue this and what additional work we may be doing for next year. Okay. Subcommittee and member reports. Budget Subcommittee, Rebecca.
It took me a minute to remember when we last met because the end of the year is a blur with everything going on. But we did meet on May 21st at 5:30 on Zoom. It was our last meeting of the school year. HIT updates around ending the trust and the money required for outstanding claims, increased E&D money, plus the upcoming task force team and goals were discussed. This was a wrap-up meeting to ensure we covered all currently known changes to the FY24 revenues and expenses and forecast as best we can for the coming year. We are committed to sustainable budgeting and are taking steps to do our due diligence and seek out all available opportunities to be good fiscal stewards for our community. We also spent some time discussing ensuring there is adequate staffing in each school front office to maintain appropriate safety measures and support other building staff, recognizing the important part each staff member plays in the running of our schools. We will meet again next fall and continue our work, and I encourage members of the community to continue to reach out and participate in this vital process.
Thank you. Policy Subcommittee update.
Hang on, I wrote it down. The Policy Subcommittee met on Thursday, May 23rd at 7:30 a.m. via Zoom. We did invite Kate Crosby and focused primarily on the new urgency around the decarbonization plan with the program with Acton. After an in-depth discussion, it was decided to bring both the, the first read as well as the program that we're looking into to the meeting today. The Policy Subcommittee does not currently have any additional meetings scheduled before the end of the school and fiscal year.
Thank you. All right, consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda do not usually require discussion and approved with one vote unless any member would like an item held. And if you do want something held, you get to say the magic word, which is hold. And as a reminder, members do not have to have attended a meeting to vote on the minutes. Item number 1 is approval of ABRHS meeting minutes of May 16th, 2024. Item number 2 is donation of art books valued at $3,590 to the Senior High Visual Art Department. And item number 3 is the Acton-Boxborough Friends of Drama donation of $21,000 towards the purchase of light and sound upgrades. Seeing that no items were held, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved with gratitude.
That would be Leela, and then very loudly, Vikram. But I'm not, it's a bit of a volume versus speed race here. Any discussion? All of those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? That is also unanimous. We've got a statement of warrants and recommendation to approve from June 6, 2024. Anybody wish to read out the warrants?
I'll read it. It's a long one. I move that the school committee vote to approve the below listed warrants totaling $12,517,700.59. AP vendor warrants as follows: 24-023B dated 5/16/2024 in the amount of $1,042,321.53. 24-024A dated 5/23/2024 in the amount of $983,864.98. 24-024B dated 5/30/2024 in the amount of $1,867,356.68. Payroll vendor warrants as follows: 24-023PR dated 5/16/2024 in the amount of $664,434.22. 24-024PR dated 5/30/2024 in the amount of $1,541,462.61. Payroll warrant as follows: P2423 dated 5/16/2024 in the amount of $3,090,908.90. P2424 dated 5/30/2024 in the amount of $3,274,583.91. And student activity warrants as follows: 24-023BL dated 5/16/2024 in the amount of $554.04. 24-024SH dated 5/23/2024 in the amount of $30,089.67. 24-024BL dated 5/30/2024 in the amount of $1,913.30, and 24-024JH dated 5/30/2024 in the amount of $20,210.75.
Second.
Tori seconded that. Thank you. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? That's unanimous. Thank you. All right, couple of quick housekeeping things as we get to the end of the meeting. There is no meeting next week on June 13th, even though it was originally on our calendar, so please remove that from your calendar. This is the last official business meeting of the FY24 year, so thank you all for that. We do have our workshop on June 24th. That's here in the room 23, the room that we typically meet in for executive sessions. But that is, the workshop is a public meeting open to the public. Anyone's welcome to attend. And lastly, I will be sending out to everybody as a reminder the meeting calendar for next year. And my deepest request is that everybody take a look at that now, put it into your own personal calendar, and let us know if you have conflicts, birthdays, parties, graduations, anything that you know about now, let us know. We can change our calendar around, and I would much rather do that and have more of the committee in attendance regularly than realizing last minute that I've got a conflict. I recognize that we all have conflicts that come up last minute, business travel, personal travel, medical emergencies, whatnot, but let's try to eliminate some of the avoidable absences next year by taking a look at that calendar, putting it into your personal calendar now. If you see something that is a conflict, let us know, and we can move it around now. It's a lot easier to do it 9, 12 months in advance than it is 2 days in advance. Peter, is there anything in the FYI that you wish to highlight?
Yeah, I'd just like to highlight a couple things. One, we have a School Wellness Advisory Council that meets every year, that is actually required by the state of Massachusetts, that every district has one. I want to thank the members of that group. Kirsten Nelson does a lot of work helping to lead that group. There is a requirement of that group that they report annually to the school committee. That doesn't necessarily mean that they have to come and present to the school committee, but that you get a report annually. What we've tried to do on some of these things where there's like typical annual reporting, you can only fit so many things into your meetings. So some years we might provide you with a written report, other times we might invite someone to present. This year is a written report from that group. If there's interest in the future of having them come and present, we can certainly schedule that. I just want to know in advance. So their report for the year is in your packet, as well as some of the changes to the procedures that they developed through that group. So you can review that as well.
Thank you. And with that, who is going to be the first to make the motion to adjourn the meeting?
Oh, are you canceling?
So moved.
I did that already.
Sorry, that tells you how tired I am.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Peter was confused about next week. So who made the motion? Tori made the motion, and Ben seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? We are adjourned. Thank you all.